Hey everybody, I'm Becky Granger and this is Mehmet Alkanlar and we are from EDUCAUSE in Boulder, Colorado where it is snowing today. In the last issue of Technoscope, Renato Segecco wrote a great article about how to get started with Google Analytics. So today we're going to tell you about some of the more technical features you can use once you're set up with Google Analytics. This screencast for you techie nerds out there who want to take your implementation to the next level with some cool code. We're going to show you three neato things: custom event tracking, custom variables, and how to use the Google Analytics Export API. We're going to tell you what we use these for, and then we're going to show you some of the code so you can do it too. So, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Mehmet Alkanlar, and I'm going to show you how we're using the custom event tracking here at EDUCAUSE. We recently had our annual conference, and this was our program page on our website. We wanted to gather data about how our members are using this user interface we have built, and we specifically wanted to know how many times each tab was clicked, so we could determine how useful this interface was to our members. Our conference has face-to-face and online components. So we have two pages using the same UI, face-to-face program page and our online program page. We also wanted to know how the usage differs between the two audiences. And the way to do this in Google Analytics is a feature called event tracking. With event tracking, you can call a simple JavaScript function to record the events that are happening on a web page. So here's our JavaScript we use to track this. We're using the jQuery library, and for those who are not familiar, we're attaching a click event handler function to our vertical tab buttons. We're basically calling the track event method as you see in the code here. We just pass a few parameters about what we're trying to track. The first parameter is a category parameter. Whatever you want the category of the event we're tracking to be. We want it to be tab, and it will be used to distinguish this category in Google Analytics interface, as we will show you in a little bit. The second parameter is the action we're tracking. In this case, we're tracking clicks, so I'm passing click as the action parameter. And the third parameter is a label, which is what exactly was clicked on. And in this case, we're prepending the page title to the label of the tab itself and passing that as a label parameter. This helps us differentiate between the face-to-face program clicks from the online program clicks. Now let's go back to the page and see this code in action. So here in Firebug, I can see that when I clicked on the Topics tab, it calls the track event method, which communicates to Google Analytics that I clicked on a tab called Topics on the online program page. If we examine the parameters of this request, we can see this information being passed to the server. Now Becky will show you the way the clicks are presented in the Google Analytics UI.
So now we're going to take a look at the data we generated in the actual Google Analytics interface. You can see that's where we are here. I'm in the content area, underneath of that event tracking, and I'm going to click on categories so I can see what I've chosen to track. So we picked the tab category name. I'm going to click through here, and then we decided we were going to track click actions, so I'm clicking through here. And now you can see all of the actions that we tracked. So you can see that on both our face-to-face and our online pages, the Topics tab was more used than the Type tab, which is exactly the information I was trying to get. So this is how you can track an event happening on your page. In this case, we're tracking tab clicks, but using the same technique, you can attach handler functions to any JavaScript event and gather statistics that you can report on using Google Analytics.
At EDUCAUSE, our members are colleges and universities. Each institution is assigned a Carnegie classification, which describes what kind of degrees the school offers. So to better serve our members, it's very useful to know what kinds of schools hit what pages, so we can design the content to better serve those classes of institutions. Google Analytics allows us to track this additional data with the custom variables feature. Since we have a dynamic website, we're able to generate custom Google Analytics JavaScript tracking code for each logged-in user. We set a custom variable to store the Carnegie class information for the organization our user belongs to, which gets sent along with the other data to Google Analytics. Now let's look at the code. So this is the standard Google Analytics tracking code with the addition of a single line. Here we add a call to the setCustomVar function, which lets us store any data we want, as long as it's less than 64 bytes. So in our case, the first parameter is the custom variable slot number. We're allowed to have 5 custom variables, so this can be a value from 1 to 5. For the Carnegie class, I'm choosing the slot 3. The second parameter is the name of the variable to identify it in reports, which we'll see more of it in a minute. The third parameter is the actual value, and here we have the value med for this particular instance, which means that this piece of code was generated for a user which belongs to an organization that is of medical schools and medical centers Carnegie class. Fourth parameter, 3 in our case, determines the scope of the custom variable. The value 3 indicates that this is a page level custom variable as opposed to session or visitor level.
Alright, so now let's take a look at this data in the main Google Analytics interface. We need to create a custom report to see the custom variable data. So we're going to go here to Manage Custom Reports, and then we're going to create a new custom report over here. We're going to search for page views because that's what I want to see on my report. I'm going to put that in the metric field. I'm going to search for my new special custom variable that I created and put in slot 3. I'm going to make him the dimension. Then I'm going to search for page because I want to add one more subdimension. I'm going to add him. So now I have page views, my custom variable, and the page. So I'm going to create a report that shows this information, and I can see all of the information for the various Carnegie classes now. I'm going to click into Med here because that's the Carnegie class we're interested in, and I can see the page views for the Med Carnegie class now. So this is all great, but wouldn't it be more interesting to be able to see the Med Carnegie class on any of the Google Analytics Standards reports? I think so. So let's go up here to the Content tab and click through on Top Exit Pages. This is a very important report because it tells you where people left your site. And I want to know where the medical people left my site. So I'm going to create an advanced segment. So I'm clicking up here on this drop down and I'm going to create a new advanced segment. And so this segment, I'm going to search again for my special custom variable. I'm going to drop that in here. And I'm going to say where it matches med because I'm interested in only knowing about medical schools. I'm going to name this segment Medical Schools, and I'm going to create and apply that at the same time. So now I can see that the medical school people left my site on these pages. So the highest page here is our legal content page, so this is the page I probably want to put some attention to if this is what I want the medical people to be reading. So this is an example of how we've used custom variables to track information that's important to us. You can do the same with information that's important to your organization.
At EDUCAUSE, we try to encourage data-driven decision-making within the organization, and that means it's very desirable to have the website traffic data easily accessible to everyone internally. So we wanted to integrate the Google Analytics functionality more deeply into our site, and the result is this. We have a statistics tab on all pages of our site, and under this tab, any EDUCAUSE staff member can view the traffic data on this page. At the top, I have a summary of the general stats for this page. And I also have this time frame selector here, which I can use to get data over a specific period of time. Under here, I have tabs showing various kinds of data for this page. For example, I can go to Usage tab to see the trend data for bounce rate and average time on the site for the selected time frame. Or if I go to Browser OS, it'll produce nice pie charts of browser and operating system distributions for the page views. There are a lot more metrics out there, but these are the ones we picked to make available. So this is all cool, but why did we bother to do this? You can get all the same statistics with advanced reporting features in a regular Google Analytics interface. First of all, we wanted to increase the visibility of this data internally by making it very easy to access. This UI we built simplifies the statistics we tend to use the most, so our staff doesn't need to spend any time looking for them in the main Google Analytics interface. Another benefit is access management. We can easily control who gets to see what statistics. So let's talk a little bit about how we built this interface. Our web server retrieves this data using the Google Analytics Data Export API. And this API lets a developer access analytics data programmatically. Initial requests can take a second or two, so we cache the data to make subsequent accesses very fast. After processing this data, we're generating the graphs you see here using Google Charts. Google Charts is a free online service which you can create images of graphs and charts. It works simply by encoding the graph data in a URL. And when the URL loads, we get back an image of the graph. Okay, so now about how we integrated this to our site. Our site is running on Drupal, so we use a couple contrib modules as a starting point. We use Google Analytics API module to extend it to do what we needed. We also use another contrib module named Chart, which simplifies the formatting of the data and constructs the URLs to work with Google Charts. So how do you get started with the Data Export API? A great place to start is the Data Feed Query Explorer. This tool lets you simulate what you can do with the API if you were writing your own client to process this data. Let's say you wanted to pull the data on the top 100 pages that generated the most page views for a particular date. So first, I set the metric to page views because that's what I'm interested in. And I need to set the dimensions to page path. And I'm setting the date to October 12th, which is the first day of our annual conference. And I need to set the sort parameter to -GA page views so that the results are sorted by descending order by page views. And I set the max results to 100 so that the tool is returning 100 data rows. So the Data Query Explorer returns the data that I requested. The most useful part of this tool is that the variable names that you use with the API are the same. So it's very handy while developing your own app to process this data. If you have a particular report in mind that you wanted to build, you can test it first using this tool.
So that's 3 cool things you can do with Google Analytics. We hope you've learned something today, and here are some URL references about the APIs we demonstrated. This is Becky Granger and Mehmet Alkanlar from EDUCAUSE signing off. Thanks for listening.